From the bustling streets of the Philippines to the remote villages of Madagascar, stories of transformation are unfolding in inspiring and surprising ways. Messages of hope carried on the airwaves of Adventist World Radio deeply impress the hearts of those seeking truth. Let's look and see how faith bridges cultures and continents, shining light into the darkest corners of the earth. Welcome to the Philippines, a beautiful destination, overflowing with stunning views and truly heartwarming people. Just a few years ago, as the world plunged into the depths of fear and the unknown, the Filipino people found their lives turned upside down. But within the worst of times, miracles of heart change were performed.
Hi, I'm Cami Utman, and this is AWR 360.
Kay langit ang hinungdan, makaadto ako.
Welcome to Tampakan, South Cotabato. Here, a small AWR radio station broadcasts 15 hours a day, reaching across the local area. This incredible story begins just a few years ago as the COVID-19 pandemic swept across the globe in early 2020. As the pandemic settled over the area and the people were told to stay in their homes, the broadcasters of one small radio station decided that it would be best to move into the building. This way, they could continue to broadcast every day. Throughout the pandemic, due to the dedication of these broadcasters, the AWR program of this station was not silenced. During this time, thousands of households across the Philippines were held under mandatory quarantine by the government. As boredom took over, residents began listening more and more to the radio. Among those tuning in was a group of friends and families. They were members of a local Christian church that worshiped on Sunday. As they scanned the radio, they found songs and messages that caught their attention. They decided to listen. As they heard the broadcasters contradict the Sabbath teachings they believed, they soon realized this preacher was presenting directly from the Bible. Each day brought something new that caught their interest. And as they compared what was said to their Bibles, they found it all to be true. These families began discussing what they were learning, and soon they formed small study groups. Unable to meet for worship in their churches, they gathered in homes, listening to the radio and studying the Bible together. One day, while the AWR broadcasters were working in the station, several members of the study group walked in with a surprising statement.
We are not Adventists, but we have been listening to your broadcasts, and we believe what you are teaching. We want to give our tithe to your church, and have decided we want to be baptized.
With the area in lockdown, there was seemingly no way to gather together. However, the Lord miraculously opened the doors, working through the local police to allow a small church gathering where they could worship together and commit their vows prior to stepping in the waters of baptism. Since then, this group of believers has been a powerful force for good. They have recently been involved in health evangelism and even taken part in an evangelistic series hosted by AWR in their area, which resulted in numerous baptisms. One man and his wife had also begun listening to the radio during the pandemic, and together they discovered Adventist World Radio. As they became more and more convinced of the truth, they decided to walk many miles from their home to the radio station. It was a desire in their hearts to give their tithe to the new faith they believed in. This couple asked for more information of Bible topics, and soon after, an AWR worker visited and shared Bible studies with them. Eventually, they were baptized and joined the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Today, he and his wife share Jesus everywhere they go, as well as playing songs of praise over the radio.
Sa among napamatian, AWR sa tampakan, kami karong duha Adventista.
Isn't it truly amazing how the Lord can work in the darkest hours to bring the hearts of His people back to Him? AWR is committed to offering listeners around the globe a glimpse of their loving Savior. Won't you consider partnering with us in making an eternal difference for the kingdom of heaven?
As Christians, our family is much larger than our immediate biological family. In fact, we have brothers and sisters that live in more than 200 countries all around the world. We want to remember them in our estate plan. We can help you with that process. Just call 800-337-4279 toll-free or log on to awr.org.
Travel with me across the Indian Ocean to the small island country of Madagascar, where another heart was touched by Adventist World Radio. Join me in hearing how Maha's life was completely transformed. Maha runs a notorious cow-stealing crime ring in Madagascar's Red Zone. The Red Zone covers a third of the country and is an area of which the government has limited control. Because of this and the high value of cows, the Red Zone is a haven for people like Maha. Maha's mere presence strikes fear in villagers, and his large-scale attacks on villages are dreaded.
As the leader of a band of thieves, I participated in a wide range of unlawful activities. I stole numerous cattle, broke into homes, and engaged in various other criminal acts.
His band's ruthlessness and threats of death scares villagers into staying in their homes during attacks. With the towns now open to plunder, Maha and his group are able to steal whatever they want, including cows. Escaping with stolen goods, they faced pursuit from both angry villagers and the military, resulting in deadly confrontations. Their daily lives frequently involved killing those who challenged them. Fearing a report by neighbors to the military police and anticipating a potential ambush due to his escalating criminal activity, Maha left his village to seek refuge with his aunt and uncle. They turned out to be regular listeners of AWR. As he listened day after day, some of the messages caught his attention. What particularly interested him were the truths about God's love and the complete forgiveness he would receive for the crimes he had committed.
I was deeply moved by what I heard, and I chose to follow the God of the radio program and leave my destructive habits behind.
Walking into the local barbershop, Maha wanted to show he had changed by cutting his hair short, a sign that he was a new man, touched by the profound grace and love of God. Maha found an Adventist church to study the Bible. The pastor was amazed that he had already learned many truths just from listening to the radio. One day at church, Maha made the decision to be baptized, leaving his old life behind and becoming a new person in Christ. The name of his home village, meaning New Start, fittingly describes his transformed and renewed life. Continuing his journey as a new SDA Christian, he could no longer contain the joy in his heart from his deepened spiritual growth. A desire welled up inside him, compelling him to return home and share his faith. However, he wondered how his home village would receive him, considering his past. As Maha reunited with his friends, they were amazed by his transformation. As he shared his story, he stated that God's love and full forgiveness was a reason for his change, inspiring 2 of his bandit friends to be baptized. Unfortunately, he faced skepticism from several of his neighbors, leading to his arrest by the police. Yet, during his interrogation, Maha shared his conversion story, touching the hearts of the police and ultimately leading to his release. He is grateful for his new life and newfound freedom. Because of his conversion, Maha has given up his former life of crime and has now started farming, fishing, and raising livestock. Recently married, he and many of his family, even once resentful family members, now worship at the local Adventist church in the region. He is now working to bring his former bandit friends into his church community. He encourages them to listen to AWR Radio daily. These friends have been captivated by Maha's story and are now seeking prayer, a sign of the Holy Spirit's work in their lives.
My name, Maha, meaning liberator, now has new meaning for me because just as I once needed liberation from sin, my deepest desire is to liberate souls by guiding them to Christ, the one who can set them free.
Maha thanks God daily for rescuing him from a life of evil and pain. Like Maha, countless others around the world express their gratitude for dedicated AWR staff who tirelessly spread the good news of Christ's salvation in their regions, eagerly anticipating Christ's second coming in the clouds of heaven. Your generous support and prayers are essential for us to continue this important mission. Not too far away on the mainland of Africa, a young couple struggles against persecution as family and friends turn against them. Situated near the meandering Cole River, amid tranquil hills and lush foliage, Isaac, a 24-year-old peasant farmer, and his wife Rachel reside in Agweng, a village northeast of Lira, Uganda. Isaac first discovered the Adventist message through presentations by evangelist Peter Abong, airing on QFM, a secular radio station nearby. Peter's self-supported and prophecy-focused program, exclusive to QFM, has made it the sole radio station delivering the Adventist message in the entire district. Faithful members and supporters fund a 1-hour Sabbath broadcast from 5 to 6 p.m.
What really impressed me about AWR was that everything they said was in the Bible.
Influenced by these broadcasts, Isaac became convinced that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is the true church. He now desires to observe all of God's commandments faithfully, including the Sabbath. When the evangelist announced upcoming baptisms for those seeking a new life in Jesus, Isaac quickly contacted him for directions to the venue.
After the phone call, I told my wife I was getting baptized, and she insulted me for what I had done.
influenced by villagers who regarded his new faith as satanic. Rachel vehemently opposed his choice to be baptized, but Isaac remained resolute. Overnight, a miraculous event occurred as Rachel had a unique dream. She was dressed in white, walking through a large, beautiful building with her husband. A multitude of people, all dressed in white, sang a melodious song which she had never heard before. The scene was so extraordinary that she found it indescribable. Upon waking, the song continued humming in her head. Without hesitation, she woke her husband, exclaiming,
Isaac, Isaac, get up. Let's prepare and go get baptized. I want to be baptized with you.
Her sudden decision to embrace Jesus surprised Isaac. She shared her dream with him, emphasizing it was no ordinary experience. Unable to ignore it, Isaac and Rachel both felt in their hearts that God had answered Isaac's prayers and sent the dream. As they prepared for their baptisms, hostile relatives and neighbors already had made a plan to stop Isaac from getting baptized. They took his only clothes for special occasions, along with his shoes, in an attempt to discourage them from attending the baptism. Nevertheless, the couple was determined. They called Evangelist Ebong for help. He advised them to rent a motorcycle, a common means of transport in Uganda, assuring them that he would cover the charges upon arrival. Despite the challenges, the couple was baptized into the local Seventh-day Adventist Church. Unspeakable joy filled their hearts. After returning home, Isaac joyfully shared the messages he had learned, sparking interest in the radio program among his own family and fellow villagers. Within a few short weeks, Isaac invited Evangelist Ebong to come and baptize 25 villagers who had given their hearts to Jesus. Today, the congregation gathers every Sabbath in the home of a new member who generously offered her place to host the church. It is stories like this that show the need of devoted broadcasters all across Uganda. Through the work of the radio, God has blessed their commitment in the Lira district with 146 souls and 4 churches that have been planted. Pastor Ebong expresses the need for a dedicated radio station in northern Uganda. He believes in spreading the message so much that he has been using his own money to fund his travels in reaching the souls of the callers. In order to reach the people, he must constantly rent a motorcycle to visit them.
I love preaching on AWR, and many call in requesting to know more about Jesus. I have a desire to reach more people. I pray to God that He will allow me a motorcycle. I know God answers prayers. He can use anybody anywhere.
Can you do me a favor? Can you look over your left shoulder? Look behind you. That is for you.
Recognizing the need, AWR surprised Pastor Ebong with a new motorcycle to help him continue his passionate outreach in the region.
I want to thank God for answering my prayer after 6 years. I want to thank AWR for serving the Lord through this.
Stories like this take place around the world, each presenting the common challenge, the urgent need for support to sustain vital ministries for new and expanding congregations. Your support directly provides essential transportation and assistance for evangelists like Ebong. In this country, a critical need exists for a radio station to serve this growing community. Won't you partner with us as we spread the gospel of Jesus to every corner of the earth, fulfilling the Great Commission to go into all the world?
Have you ever thought about how you could leave a lasting legacy that will advance the cause of God into the future and at the same time provide the needed income for your life during retirement? Adventist World Radio offers a charitable gift annuity program that will provide you a fixed income for life, and then the balance can go into the cause of God to advance the work of Adventist World Radio around the world, a ministry that has no walls, no borders, and no limits. You can call for assistance Adventist World Radio at 800-337-4297. We look forward to helping you.
Flying back across the ocean to the Philippines, war and conflict marked the origin of an incredible journey. Listen how one man's hatred was changed to love and forgiveness. For more than 40 years, the New People's Army in the Philippines have been fighting to overthrow the government. Here on the island of Mindoro, these dense jungle mountains were the backdrop to countless raids, ambushes, and murders. Join us for a story about how God used Adventist World Radio to turn hatred and vengeance to forgiveness and redemption. Due to increasing unrest, the Philippine Army had been deployed to this region of Mindoro, seeking to rid the mountains of these feared NPA fighters. Alongside his commander, Jimmy, a soldier in the Philippine Armed Forces, encountered dangerous conflicts initiated by the NPA terrorist group. Through their experiences together, Jimmy fostered a deep sense of respect and camaraderie as he worked alongside his commander. One day, Jimmy's military group was traveling deep into the jungle. Although there had been reports of the New People's Army in this area, they felt relatively safe. However, they were being watched by a rebel. But not just any rebel. This was Gilbert, one of the most notorious and deadly assassins in the country. Years of training, hatred, raids, and fights had turned Gilbert into a seasoned warrior. He was agile, swift, and extremely strong. These mountains were his home, and he knew how to move through them, leaving no trace. The government soldiers knew that if there was anything or anyone to be afraid of, it was Gilbert.
I had been following these soldiers for several hours, and now I had my chance.
I rushed to my commander and found him dead.
As Gilbert rushes and escapes deep into the jungle, Jimmy vows to kill Gilbert. Jimmy, grieving the loss of his commander, vowed to kill Gilbert to avenge his commander's death. God saw what was happening and longed for both of them to be saved. It was around this time that Adventist World Radio began to broadcast messages of God's love into this region. The days were long and boring, so groups of NPA fighters and soldiers tuned their radios, seeking something to pass the time. Adventist messages of peace and forgiveness began to be heard, crackling over radio speakers at terrorist outposts scattered across these mountains. As the days turned into weeks, a shift began to take place in Gilbert's men. They decided to surrender and leave their life of killing behind. As Gilbert continued to listen, he was convinced that he needed to do the same. Jimmy had begun to listen to the radio as well. He was bitter and angry towards the NPA fighters. But as he continued listening to AWR, he learned about the story of Jesus, who came to earth served others selflessly, and forgave his own crucifiers. This realization broke his heart and deeply impacted Jimmy. He thought, if Jesus can forgive the people who killed him, maybe I can forgive the killer of my commander too. He delved into studying the Bible and made a life-changing decision to dedicate himself to Christ. Jimmy's life changed so much that he began to share what he had learned with others. Then, in November of 2021, the Adventist World Radio leaders traveled to the island of Maduro to witness the baptism of hundreds of former rebels. There were huge celebrations of this momentous occasion. Gilbert was among this group. He had surrendered his heart and was a changed man. Jimmy also made the difficult decision to forgive Gilbert, and these two former enemies were now reconciled. Over the next few months, more rebels continued to surrender, and one of the men that Jimmy had shared the Bible with was baptized. Then, during the General Conference session in St. Louis, Missouri in 2022, Jimmy was baptized by Dr. Dwayne McKee into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Jimmy and Gilbert have united in their mission to share what they have learned with others across the country. Through the ministry of Adventist World Radio, they have discovered their new battlefield. They have set down their guns and picked up Bibles and have become soldiers of Christ. Isn't God amazing? The ministry of AWR truly knows no walls, no borders, and no limits. Won't you join us in spreading the message of Christ's soon return to many more people around the world, just like Jimmy? Thank you for your generous support of Adventist World Radio.
From broadcast to baptism, this is AWR 360.